All right. Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. You ready to talk about ETFs today?
Oh, yeah, let's get into it.
I am so fired up for this one because we are diving deep into these exchange-traded funds,
hmm
the ones that everyone's talking about. We're going to figure out which ones have totally crushed it over the past decade, and we're going to use some data from YCharts. They're a leading financial data platform. You know what's crazy?
What's that?
That if you invested $10,000 in one specific ETF 10 years ago, it would be worth over $105,000 today.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. So basically, we're going to uncover some investment gold. Are you ready?
I am definitely ready.
Let's do it.
So, you know what's interesting here? We're not just talking about buying some stock in a company.
Right.
ETFs actually offer you a way to immediately diversify your portfolio.
Oh,
So what I mean is they have all these different assets.
okay.
You can bundle together a whole bunch of stocks or bonds
Hmm.
that share a common theme.
Okay, so like what?
So that could be a specific industry
Okay.
or sector.
Got it. So you don't have to spend all that time researching every single company out there. You could just get an ETF that focuses on, I don't know, renewable energy or artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's basically like getting a professionally curated mix of investments.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And that's a major reason why ETFs have become so insanely popular.
Yeah.
In fact, as of September 2024, total ETF assets under management surpassed $10 trillion.
10 trillion.
Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Clearly, people are catching on. I mean, $10 trillion.
Yeah.
But to really understand these top performers, we need to consider the economic backdrop, the environment that these ETFs were operating in over the past decade.
You're absolutely right. And one of the biggest things we need to consider is the Federal Reserve.
Okay.
They recently slashed interest rates by 50 basis points.
Okay, hold on. What does that mean? What's a basis point?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So a basis point is basically just 1/100th of a percentage point.
Okay.
So in this case, it was a 0.5% decrease.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But why did they do that? Why would they cut rates like that? And how does that affect me as an investor?
Okay, so there's a couple of reasons. First off, inflation has been easing a little bit.
Okay.
So that gives the Fed a little bit more breathing room.
Okay.
And secondly, they really want to help boost the economy.
Okay.
And employment's been a little bit sluggish.
Okay.
They want to try to boost that.
So
So,
does that mean lower interest rates means that it's cheaper for businesses to borrow money and then they can invest it?
exactly.
Okay.
And then that'll boost the economy.
Got it.
And then all of those ripple effects can impact different assets,
Yeah.
including the ones that are inside those ETFs.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So the Fed's actions kind of set the stage for this investment story that we're about to talk about. But before we get to that, I kind of want to talk about the inflation elephant in the room. Because we all know inflation can be a real portfolio killer.
Oh, you are absolutely right. Inflation's definitely a key player. What happens when inflation is sort of under control?
Right. Remember, the Fed has a target range for inflation. When inflation stays within that range for at least a year, equities, they tend to outperform other assets.
Interesting. So a little bit of controlled inflation could actually be good news if you're an equity investor.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's definitely something to think about. But let's get to the main event here. Let's talk about the ETFs that turned a small investment into a fortune over the last decade.
And see who came out on top. And drum roll, please. In first place, we have the VanEck Semiconductor ETF,
Okay.
ticker symbol SMH.
All right, SMH. Let's hear it. How much would a $10,000 investment 10 years ago be worth today?
All right, get ready for this. Over $105,000.
No way.
Yeah. That-
That's incredible. That's 10 times.
Yeah.
If I had invested 10 years ago, I'd be sitting pretty right now. So what about second place?
All right, so trailing right behind, we've got the iShares Semiconductor ETF,
Okay.
ticker symbol SOXX.
SOXX.
And that one would have turned your $10,000
Yeah.
into over $85,000.
Wow. Clearly something's been happening in the world of semiconductors.
The VanEck Semiconductor ETF has delivered returns that would make even the most skeptical investor raise an eyebrow.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The semiconductor industry is driving the entire digital age. These
Yeah.
tiny chips are in everything.
Right.
Our smartphones, laptops, cars, AI, even medical equipment.
Wow.
So as technology has evolved like crazy over the last decade,
Yeah.
the demand for these chips has just exploded.
Mm.
And that's what's driven up the value of these ETFs.
It's amazing that these tiny little chips have such a huge impact. on the economy.
Yeah.
But let's move beyond the top two. What other sectors made it into the ETF Hall of Fame over the past decade?
Yeah, let's take a look. Well, semiconductor sector's definitely doing really well.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of other interesting sectors to look at. Renewable energy,
Yeah.
cloud computing, e-commerce. So, for example,
Yeah.
the Invesco Solar ETF, ticker symbol TAN, saw almost a four-fold increase over the past decade.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you saying, like, the trends that we're seeing
Hmm.
in the world, like the rise of clean energy
Mhm.
or cloud technology becoming so big, those trends are reflected in the performance of these ETFs?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a really good reminder that if you can understand the broader societal shifts and the technological changes, you can get some pretty valuable insights.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But past performance, that's all well and good. But the real question is, what sectors could grow like that over the next decade?
That's the big question. What's the
Yeah.
next big thing?
Exactly.
One area that I'm super excited about is artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah, AI.
It's already transforming industries from healthcare to finance.
Yeah, for sure.
And the potential for growth seems limitless.
Right. It's kind of crazy to think about all of this technology that we have today comes from those clunky computers we used to have.
I know.
Remember floppy disks?
Oh, yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah,
But you're right, AI is everywhere.
it is.
And it's just going to become more prevalent.
Sure.
And as AI evolves, the companies developing these technologies, they're probably going to see huge growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're thinking that AI could be the next big thing in the world of ETFs?
It's definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
Another sector with massive potential, we talked about it a little bit, renewable energy.
Right.
I mean, as the world shifts towards more sustainability,
Yeah.
the demand for these clean energy solutions is only going to increase.
It makes sense. And it's not just about doing the right thing for the planet. It's also just smart investing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so AI, renewable energy. What about healthcare? It seems like there's always something new happening in healthcare.
You're absolutely right. Healthcare is another area that is just ready for innovation
Yeah.
and growth as the population ages. And medical advancements continue.
Mm,
There's just a growing need for new healthcare solutions and treatments,
makes sense.
from telemedicine to personalized medicine. The possibilities are endless.
So we've talked about all these potential growth areas. What should our listeners actually do with this information?
Well, the key is to be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
Use this information to make good decisions. You always want a diversified portfolio,
Right.
to minimize your risk
Yeah.
and to maximize those returns.
Okay.
But it's not just about chasing the hot new sector. It's about really understanding the trends,
Okay.
doing your research, and then using that to make decisions.
Right. You've got to be empowered
Exactly.
with knowledge
Yeah.
to make strategic choices. So we've been talking about specific sectors. What about, like, broader global trends? Think about things like changes in demographics, climate change,
Yeah.
geopolitics. Could those things affect the investment landscape?
That's a really great question.
Yeah.
It's really important to think beyond the obvious
Yeah. Right.
and consider those long-term forces.
Exactly. Like, what kind of investment opportunities could come from those trends
Yeah, it's a really interesting question.
that we might not even be thinking about?
Yeah.
Requires some deep thought, for sure,
It does.
and some research
Yeah.
and a willingness to challenge your assumptions about the world.
For sure.
I think that's actually the most valuable thing we've talked about today. It's not just about having all the answers.
Yeah.
It's about having the tools and the mindset to find those answers for yourself.
Exactly.
You've got to be like a financial detective.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Uncovering those hidden gems and navigating the complexities of the market
Exactly.
with confidence and insight.
So to everyone listening out there, I say embrace the challenge, dive deep, explore, and never stop being curious.
Yeah. The world of finance is full of surprises. And the best rewards often go to the people who dare to think outside the box.
Yeah, it really is like a treasure hunt.
Mm.
Except instead of digging for gold, we're digging for financial knowledge. Insects that could make us a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny. In 10 years, we might look back on this conversation and see how all these trends that we've talked about shaped the entire investment landscape.
Yeah, and we'll be able to see what the winning investments were and what the losing investments were. And it all comes down to these global trends.
Absolutely.
It's a good reminder that the future is always changing.
Yeah,
And we have the chance to be part of that.
for sure.
But it all comes down to being informed and being engaged.
Yeah, I think what's so exciting about this is it's not just about you know, numbers on a spreadsheet,
Right.
charts. It's about understanding the stories behind those numbers.
Hmm. Yeah, you've got to connect the dots.
Yeah,
You've got to understand what causes what.
for sure.
And then what are the ripple effects
Exactly.
that turn a tiny little decision into something that moves the market?
It's pretty crazy.
It is. It's complex, but we've got to find those insights and then use those insights to make our decisions.
And I think what's important is that there's always more to learn.
Right.
Like even today,
Yeah.
we uncover some amazing insights,
Yeah.
but then tomorrow comes
Yeah.
and there's new challenges,
Yeah.
new data,
Right.
new perspectives.
Yeah. And that's why we do what we do.
Yeah,
I love this stuff.
I do.
It's so fun. Every time we do a deep dive, we expand our horizons, we challenge our assumptions, we get a little bit wiser
That's what I love about it.
about the world.
Yeah.
So,
Before we go, I've got one last question for you and for our listeners. Thinking about everything that we talked about today, all these global trends,
yeah.
what are some good investment opportunities that you see? What hidden gems are
Yeah,
out there?
sure.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It's something that every listener should be thinking about.
Right. We've got to take control of our finances
Yeah.
and use this knowledge to make good decisions.
And remember, knowledge is power,
For sure.
especially when it comes to investing.
Well, thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of ETFs.
Me too.
It was a good one.
It was a fun one.
All right, everyone. Until next time, happy investing.
Happy investing.